Hello YouTube, it's your girl Keisha Laundry and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to discuss the gentleman who's suing the DoubleTree for $10 million. So there is a man named Jermaine Massey who stayed at the DoubleTree in Portland back in December 2018. He was there for a Travis Scott concert. Now during his stay, he came down to the lobby and he was on a phone call with his mother. And he was approached by security, asking, what's his name and what's his room number, and trying to figure out if he was a guest there. So the thing just went way out of hand. The cops wound up being called. Mr. Massey was asked to remove his stuff from the room. He was deemed a trespasser and taken off the property by the police. Okay, so now he's suing the DoubleTree. Well, it's owned by Hilton, so he's suing the Hilton brand for $10 million. The Hilton chain includes the Hilton, of course, the DoubleTree, the Hampton Inn, Embassy Suites, and the Waldorf Astoria. Now, I have personally worked for the Hampton Inn. I worked for it in 2 different states. I worked for the Hampton Inn. I personally like the chain. I like that they have 100% guarantee. Actually, that is my #1 place to tell families to go when they do book, because they always give you free breakfast, free parking, and free Wi-Fi. And you can't beat that the Hampton Inn has 100% guarantee. If you don't enjoy your stay, they give you back your money, 100% guarantee. And I've used it. I've did it for guests. And I'm assuming maybe he has that guarantee throughout all of his chains, but I'm not sure. But I guess I want to get into the juiciness of the story, because I have worked in the industry for many years now, and I have approached guests and asked guests, what's your room number, what's your name, to try to figure out if the guest was there. Now, if the person is truly a guest at the hotel. Now, I usually work at night shift. So quite naturally, if I see someone who comes down or maybe comes strolling in at a certain time, or they lingering around in the lobby, or maybe sitting where guests usually don't sit, I'll usually approach them. Or if I have security, I'll ask security to go see if that gentleman. Sometimes I don't even have to tell security to go check out the person and see if they're a guest there. Now, unfortunately, you can never tell if a person is a guest or if they're just hanging out in the lobby, because a lot of hotels, they have bars and they have restaurants connected to the hotel. So one doesn't always have to be a guest to be in certain hotels. Now, some hotels don't have those different outlets there. So the only people in the lobby should be guests or service workers, so to speak, like taxi drivers or delivery people, if you're not staying at the hotel. But as I said, a lot of hotel chains, they have bars and restaurants on property. So people come through to like watch the games, or they come through to eat, or they come through to just, have a drink at the lounge that's at the bar. Now, after the situation happened with Mr. Massey in Portland at the DoubleTree, they fired the manager and they also fired the security guard. And it's always a zero tolerance policy when it comes to harassing a guest, or when a guest feels harassed. I have been in a situation where actually I was working at a 5-star hotel. This place was massive. It has 1,000 rooms. So at nighttime, it was just always go, go, go. It was just always something happening. Now, this particular night, I wasn't supervisor at this point. So my night supervisor, she was like the leader of it all. So we had a guy come down to the desk, a white guy. He looked scrawny. He didn't have any shoes on or his shirt. He just had his shorts on. And he came to the desk and he asked for a key to his room. Now, there's many ways that we can go about finding out if you are the person who belongs in the room, because you can't just walk up to the desk and ask for a key to the room and we give it to you. We always ask you for ID. And I can't stress this enough. If you're staying at a hotel and there's multiple guests in one room, please list all those people on the room. You won't get extra charges. They won't charge you anything extra. We do this so that if you separate or if someone needs a key to the room and the main person is not around, we can open up your reservation and we can see, hey, oh, Keisha has access, can have access to this room too, so let's give Keisha a key. Now, a lot of times when you come to the desk, we ask you for ID. And, you know, in this case, the guy was in the lobby. In Mr. Massey's case, he was in the lobby. So, of course, we're going to ask you, what's your room number? You know, so just like the case that I was in where I seen the supervisor get fired, and that's how I was promoted, unfortunately. Unfortunate for her, but, you know, fortunate for me, you know. But she, in my situation, the supervisor asked the guy, what was his room number. You could tell he was very inebriated, but he had his room number down pat. We called security on the scene, but for some reason, the supervisor, she was overzealous and was very pushy and just the kind of person who wanted to be in the middle of everything, because once you call security, you could just walk away and let security do their business. But unfortunately, this supervisor, she's a woman. She was aggressive and trying to handle the situation herself. She, because, I mean, we can ask you what's your email address. We can ask you certain things that someone would not know right offhand. And also, we have security walk you to your room, and you can get your, if you don't have your ID on you, we can have security walk you to your room. They can open the door for you. You can get your ID and we can, you know, we can, confirm that you're the person that's listed on the room. So in this case, the lady decided to go up to the room, look through the man's stuff, ask him what his room looked like and everything, and he described stuff. So when he came, when she came back down to the desk, apparently the guy had a lot of, she said, kush laid out on the dresser, which is none of our business, because once you're in a room, you can do whatever you want to do in it. If you're in the smoking room and you smoke whatever you want to do in it, whatever you want to in it. But yeah, so she came back down to the desk, and the guy like instantly sobered up when he realized that she was naming things that was in his room, and it made him uncomfortable. He was like, wait a minute, you was in my room? That man sobered up so fast. But you know, security and myself, we just was trying to tell the gentleman, you know, just go to your room and you can, you know, deal with it tomorrow and everything. But the lady kept on going back and forth with the gentleman, which she was wrong. She was wrong. But she wound up losing her job because the gentleman complained the next day. And you never know who you're dealing with. Kind of find out this guy was a big-time executive for a major company that does a lot of business for the hotel. So she immediately lost her job. And unfortunately, they asked everyone who was involved to write a statement about it. And you can't lie about things, especially everything is on camera. You got 5 different people. You know, you can't be the one lying, you know. And yeah, so that being said, a lot of times people do get overzealous when they're approaching people for no reason. It'd be like somewhat of a power trip, because it's so many ways that you could tell if a person is a guest at the hotel. Mainly if a guest goes all the way out to and they're super offended, then you can automatically assume that person has a room there. Just leave the person alone, you know, because I'm sure the guy answered all the questions as one would, you know, if you're being approached like that. But yeah, I've seen this happen many a times at this same hotel that I worked at. I'm mentioning that the supervisor got fired and I got her job. Again, 5-star hotel, 1,000 rooms. They had a conference there one time. They had a conference there, and the group was there for a week. Now, this group under their block, they had the meeting spaces for different meetings that they would have going on throughout the day. And then throughout the day, they also fed their clients, which is our guests. So it was a lot of amenities that came with that group block. Now, this particular night I'm at work, the security guard comes to the desk. He has an ID in his hand. He tells me to check the computer for this, for the name. I goes in the computer and I pulls up the name. He asked me what's the room number. I give him the room number. I even print out the reg card for him. So he walks away with the reg card and everything. A few minutes later, this is the head of security. He came back to the desk and he said that the gentleman He was a black man that he wanted to speak to the GM because that was the second day in a row that he was approached asking if he actually belonged there with the group. Now, I don't know what this man looked like, but his ID, in his ID picture, he looked presentable. So I don't know what about the gentleman made hotel staffers approach him 2 days in a row asking him for his ID and for him to confirm that he was actually with the group that was in house. I've seen this happen time and time again. And I want to tell you, even with me currently still working at in this industry, I will approach any race, any body, any sex, boy, girl, black, yellow, red, 10, 12, 2. If I'm uncomfortable, if I'm unsure if you belong there, I'm going to question it. I'm going to question it with no racism connected. But the thing is like I said, people they tend to get overzealous, and they do too much when they do approach these guests. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. And unfortunately, racism does still exist in this industry. I've seen, you can have one race of people at the pool enjoying the pool, and then black people come down to the pool, and I time it. And to this day, I can time it. I'll give the other race like 20 minutes and they coming out the pool because black people came in the pool. We can still clear a pool at a hotel. It's just not on a Dorothy Dandridge movie. And that's no racism involved. It's just my personal experience and what I see to this current day. But I wanted to add my 2 cents to this. I think it's time that people stand up for things like that. I mean, the guy could have sued the hotel brand that I work for is a more higher up brand than the DoubleTree and the Hilton. And the gentleman, like I said, was approached 2 days in a row asking if he belonged there. But $10 million, he deserved it. He deserves something because it does happen. And I just wanted to let the public know that it does happen and it happens often. I wish everybody love, peace, and prosperity.